He grew up in Pittsburgh, rooting for the Steelers. Now he's the head coach of the champion Green Bay Packers.
You have had injuries, starters out, and tonight again, 3 more players go out, but your football team has such great resolve. Mike, what do you see the turnaround in this football game tonight for the Packers?
Well, you've already said it was the great resolve of our football team. We had some practice of guys going down and other players stepping up. It was a very emotional halftime for our football team. We had some bumps in the third quarter, but just a tremendous effort, and Coach Lombardi's trophy's finally going back home.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you, Terry.
Well, that seemed like such a long time ago. Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. What a weekend. We're going to talk about it here for the next hour or so. It's a special edition of Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. If you're joining us live on X or YouTube or Facebook, thank you. You're welcome to post your comments down below. Hopefully you can hear everything. I believe I had all the audio worked out and everything should be good to go. But a big historic day in the history of the Steelers franchise. 17th head coach in their history is Mike McCarthy. The Greenfield kid comes home, and at age 62, he is back in the NFL running a franchise. And think of the history that this man has had now, however long this run is. And we'll talk about whether it's a good hire or a bad hire. We'll talk about that over the next hour or so. He starts off his professional career as a head coach. Mind you, he was an assistant coach in Kansas City. He was in New Orleans. He had many stops along his way. He goes to Green Bay, the most historic franchise in the history of the NFL. Sorry, it just is what it is. 13 world championships over the course of their history. And he leads them to a Super Bowl. Time runs its course there. He's out in Green Bay. And then what does he do? He goes to one of the most historic franchises in the history of the National Football League, the Dallas Cowboys, 5 Super Bowl championships. And he was successful there to a degree. He had Dak Prescott. And I think they had at least 3 11-win seasons under him. But then, Dak got hurt, and they weren't winning playoff games, and so he gets bounced. And now you have the Pittsburgh kid coming back home. I'll talk about why I think this all happened, as Paul Zeiss is going to be joining us here in just a couple of minutes. And now the Steelers watch Mike Tomlin step away roughly 2 weeks ago. And here we are talking about Mike McCarthy taking over a franchise that has won 6 Super Bowls. Pretty good resume, no matter how you slice this up. It is a pretty good resume for Mike McCarthy. He is taking the Steelers' job, and we are going to talk about it over the next hour or so. We're going to share your comments along the way. Ronnie Hunter checking in already on YouTube. Why does no one like this hire? We'll get into that. Look, is it the worst hire in the world? No, absolutely not. When you look at the Steelers' recent history, which goes back to 1969, and hiring guys, they like to take young defensive assistants, right? Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. Doesn't work out this way. I have an opinion on that as to why. I'll discuss that with Paul in a second here. Maddie Rise 20 says, I'm glad I stocked up on Yingling for the weekend. He's checking in via YouTube. Going to need it. Unambitious, uninspiring, and we might get Rodgers back, so it's more Mishy Muddle. Maddie, thank you very much for your comments. With that being said, I want to get Paul Zeiss in here, of course, longtime writer at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, columnist for the Post-Gazette, was a regular on our Steel City Sunday pregame show this year. Good evening, Paul. How do you feel about the hire of Mike McCarthy? Your thoughts, sir?
Can you hear me, first of all? That's the biggest thing.
I can most definitely hear you, Paul. Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I would say this. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's not the worst hire in the world. They obviously could do a lot worse. And if you look at Mike McCarthy's record, very similar to Mike Tomlin's, and that's, I think, where the problem is. Most people believe that the Steelers just sort of settled here. They took the safe route. They took the route that's likely to lead them to probably some more non-losing seasons, but not much more than that. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of upside here, John, other than they've got a pretty competent coach who knows how to win games, who's probably going to get them in a place where they win 8, 9, 10 games every year for the next 4 or 5 years until he's done. But they had a chance to reset the organization. They had a chance to redo some of their inner philosophies and all that other stuff, and instead, they basically just voted for more of the same.
Look, on the surface, you're 100% right. I don't doubt that is the feel right now. It was a very safe hire, for sure. Here's my thought on this, Paul. I've really had as I was looking at a whole bunch of money from people at the poker room in the river this afternoon when all of this was going down, I had some time while I was mucking 7-2 and 8-3 and Jack 4 to think about this. The Steelers, this whole scenario would be completely different, in my opinion, had they lost to Baltimore. They beat Baltimore. Their season gets extended. They then have to play on Monday night, and they lose the way they do. Tomlin comes in and quits on that Tuesday. Had they lost to Baltimore, we'd have a completely different head coach right now. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, possibly. I think we have a completely different head coach.
I don't know. I don't know, because I think, all that would have done was, I think that's really, if you think about it, I don't know. I mean, maybe, a lot of could have happened, but you look at the guys that were hired before, Mike McCarthy here. I mean, would any of those guys been hired by the Steelers? So, I mean, I think, Robert Salah, no, they weren't even going to talk to him. Kevin Stefanski, nope. John Harbaugh, nope. I mean, I just don't think that would have made a difference, other than they would have had an extra week to go look for a coach. I think that, to be honest, John, it comes back for me to the fact that they just wanted to take it and play it safe. Dan Rooney was a little bit of a risk taker. He was a guy that would go out and, be innovative. The first guy that went out and, scouted black colleges. He did a couple of different things in terms of changing the NFL. He hired young guys and took a shot at them. Art Rooney II he's just not a risk taker. That's why Mike Tomlin stayed around for 9 years or 8 years, even though he couldn't win playoff games. It was like, well, this is easy because at least he's here, and at least he's, winning on some level. So to me, I think that this was just basically a case of Art Rooney II playing it safe, and I think he was going to play it safe anyway.
Sorry, my cat has an opinion, but I'm not really interested in that right now. I agree with you. Art, the quicker, and I don't know anything about the young Dan Rooney that has kind of, made a few appearances here over the last few months. In the last, maybe even this season, where, you start to see him around and maybe his name is the heir apparent. I believe that's Art's oldest son. I think the quicker that Art, starts to move away from the decision-making process, and maybe we see a new generation of Rooneys come in or leadership come in, we're going to get this from him. He's not a football guy. I've always maintained that. He inherited the job because it's the family business. He went and, he was an attorney for many years and took over for his dad when his father was just getting older. I don't think football is it in his blood? I guess you could say it's in his blood. I just don't think he's a football guy by any stretch of the imagination. And instead of turning over, the work of a football guy to a team president, he assumes the role, and you get a hire of this nature. Okay, McCarthy's in place. The next step is to try to figure out a quarterback. What are the odds now on it being Aaron Rodgers again for 2026?
Well, I mean, I think it went from 0 chances to, I don't know, somewhere north of 0. I don't think it's necessarily, 100% slam dunk, but I think that there is a chance now that Aaron Rodgers could be the quarterback next year. And really, if you do that, I mean, how much are you really trying to move forward? How much are you really trying to get yourself in a position where you're moving forward? It doesn't feel like running it back like that is the thing to do.
Again, you're not wrong. I will say this about McCarthy: at least this offense is going to get somebody who's more in the modern era of football offensively. Is that a fair? I mean, that's got to be fair to say, right? I mean, the 3 yards in a cloud of dust thing has got to come to an end at some point, Paul.
I agree, but again, going back to what we were talking about, Mike McCarthy is a little bit of an old school pro-style offense guy. All these guys, all these people that wanted, something new and someone new and shiny, they all wanted these high-tech, analytics-driven, super schematic guys, the Mike McDaniels of the world. And guess what? They didn't hire that guy. Their offense will be better than it was. I don't know that it could be worse. But I do believe, if you think about it, it fits into the philosophy that seems to be prevalent with the Rudies, and that is, the philosophy is very simple. They still want to play old school football. So you think hiring an offensive guy, there'll be less emphasis on the defense and all this other stuff. I don't see that happening.
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see, obviously, who the coordinators are going to be, how that certainly plays out. I would think that the Steelers are going to want to get some sort of decision from, Aaron within the next 30 days so that they can really start mapping out, what they're going to do in terms of the draft. I know that there's it's either the Senior Bowl, I forget which game's taking place here. I know there's practices right now. I saw Alan Saunders made his way down south to he was covering some practices for Pittsburgh Sports Now. We've got Paul Zeissart of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Just a few more minutes with him. We know he's busy, and he was kind with his time here on a Saturday to join us here to talk about this big surprise. Kind of a surprise, not kind of a surprise. Should they have waited to see what happens with the Rams and bring Chris Shula in? I want to get your thoughts on that. I'm a little surprised. I thought that this would get through the weekend, and here we are on Saturday with a deal being placed here. Should they have waited at least 24 more hours, Paul?
Well, I mean, I would say it's pretty clear that they didn't really want the guy. I mean, if they should they have? I mean, maybe they should have, but they obviously talked to the guy and decided he wasn't their guy. So, there's no reason to wait. I mean, the biggest thing is they've talked to all these people, all of these coaches they talked to, right? Some of them they brought in, Flores, the guy from Miami, a couple other guys they brought in, and then, they talked to a bunch of these other guys via Zoom or whatever, and they made the decision that they wanted Mike McCarthy. So once you make the decision you want Mike McCarthy, what are you waiting for? I mean, I don't know that I agree with the decision, so to speak. But once you make the decision, you've got to stick with it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And there was so much talk, especially during the latter portion of the week, about Shula, and obviously they had to wait to talk to him again further because they're in the playoffs. Still, obviously playing tomorrow. I'm not surprised that it is Mike McCarthy. I mean, again, safe play for Art, his first real hire on his own, and he was gonna maybe just try to take the easy way out of this. I don't know. I'm not so down on the fact that McCarthy's going to be head coach that I'm going to dismiss this and say it was a terrible hire. I'm just a little surprised that they that all of a sudden now they had to make this move happen today. Why wasn't this done Friday? Why wait? You know what I mean? Like, if you had McCarthy in here Tuesday and then you conducted an interview on Thursday, why wasn't this announcement yesterday? What has changed in the last 24 hours? Because they brought the defensive coordinator in from Miami, Weaver, and I believe they had an interview with him on Thursday, which was good. Bring another candidate in. Why not just make this decision on Friday? What was, what were they really trying to get done here? And the decision being today, if not, why not just wait another 24 hours? See if the Rams win or lose, and if they lose, now you've got one more candidate to bring in here, and now you make a solid decision. But it's the decision that you see.
But again, they already. No, I said they already talked to the guy. So why bring him in if you already talked to him and they already talked to him, so they knew whether or not they wanted him, and that's really to me. I know that a lot of people, and fans and whatnot, really wanted Chris Shula, but if the Steelers didn't want him, they didn't want him.
Yeah, I just thought a more in-person interview would have been good, but you're right. They did talk to him, and there may not have been enough there when they did talk to him to warrant a second interview. All right, Paul, any thoughts on coordinators? What do you think Mike McCarthy's move is here? Does he want to bring in somebody he can control in terms of offense? What do you think they might be looking at here? Or they'll bring Art Smith back even?
No, Art Smith just got hired by Ohio State. But
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously they're going to hire somebody from his tree. From his on the offensive side of the ball, somebody from his tree, somebody that he's worked with in the past, that knows his offense, that knows his system. And it might even be a situation, John, where the offensive coordinator basically just sort of coordinates the offense, but Mike McCarthy still runs, calls the plays. Defensively, it's interesting. I'm not sure exactly where they go defensively, just because, he's worked with a number of different guys, and, his philosophy seems to be pretty much the same as Mike Tomlin's was when it comes to, if you look at the defenses that his teams have run. So I'm not saying it'll be Terrell Austin running it back, but
I think I lost Paul. I think we lost Paul. Paul, if you're there, we appreciate you coming on board. Paul, are you still there? I can hear him. Paul, are you there, buddy? I think we lost Paul. I'm going to put Paul in the backstage and see if he can get a better signal where he is. He was very kind enough. I think we lost Paul completely. Okay, Paul Zeiss of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. If he dials back in, we'll get him back in here. If not, Paul, thank you for your 10, 12 minutes of time on a Saturday here. This is a special edition of Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. John Phillips here live, and we're going to take this till about 8:15, 8:20 this evening. We've got a lot of comments already coming into the chat. Ethan is king, says Tomlin teams stay competitive regardless of quarterback injuries or cap. McCarthy teams collapse when the margins shrink. Not unfair to say the least. Well, maybe something will change a little bit here. Maybe this will be a new Mike McCarthy, perhaps. Nick Avocado, postseason resume aside, Tomlin's floor is relevance. McCarthy's floor is disappointment. Can't argue completely that, but he has, he made what he made out of Dallas until his quarterback went down. That I'll say about Mike McCarthy and his time in Dallas. Brad Makala checking in. Yitbos, I agree with Paul on Rodgers, unless the Steelers do something radical and bring in some offensive playmakers, otherwise get some young blood in here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. I've got more comments to get to. For those of you that are checking in on either Facebook or YouTube or X, thank you. We got a nice little crowd actually swarming in here right now. So here's where I'm at on all of this. So now the decision has been made. You got Mike McCarthy. He's going to be the head coach. Quarterback whisperer, right? Bring Aaron Rodgers back in. Okay? That's the first step. bring Aaron Rodgers back in. And why are you doing that? One, you want another season of what he gave you. I'll take that. I'll take that because he is going to be a bridge at this point for possibly Will Howard. And I'm not super sold on Will Howard being anything other than what he is, a 6th-round draft pick. But here's what I will say. Because McCarthy is as good as he is with quarterbacks, and because Rodgers is who he is as a competitor and a future first ballot Hall of Famer, I think the Steelers have, it's either 10 or 11 picks coming up in the draft. You need to stockpile talent. And I don't think you've got a quarterback in the first 21 picks that makes sense to take with a number 1 selection. You bring Rodgers back on a 1-year deal. Perhaps you're bringing back presumably Mason Rudolph. I think he signed a 2-year contract. I'm going to go and try and look that up here while I'm chatting. And you bring Will Howard in, and you just try to give Will some time in the preseason. You try to give him some time to see what he's even capable of. And you run it back with Aaron Rodgers, and you draft as many young, talented people as you can to try to get them developed. And that starts with a wide receiver. I think that'll start with a wide receiver, or you package up and you move up in the draft. I don't know if the Steelers have the ability to do that. I don't know. Being at 21 does not help them. Certainly does not help them. And I still maintain that if this team would have lost to Baltimore and Tomlin would have stepped aside on Monday morning 8 days prior, that Mike McCarthy may not be the head coach of this team. May not be the head coach of this team. Just my 2 cents on it all. I'm going to actually write about it tomorrow on our Facebook page, and that'll be plastered out amongst other pages if you follow such things. But it's just been a wild ride, no question about it. I just like the video. Thank you for reminding me. Gavin, Montana, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe, especially to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you're on our X page right now, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. If you're on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, I want to thank Maddie B for getting this set up for me on the fly. I appreciate it, Maddie B. It means a great deal. I will be doing a hit tomorrow for It's a Wrap Sports. Tomorrow morning, they have a show live at 9 a.m., and I will be doing it's Philadelphia centric, but that show on Sunday morning is at 9 o'clock with Al Zafari. I believe Maddie B is going to be a guest on that show. They'll be talking to me about the Mike McCarthy signing. So that'll be on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Again, we are part of It's a Wrap Sports, and they do a great job of getting us on this broadcast each and every single time. I don't think Dan Rooney would have hired Mike McCarthy. Probably not, Mean Green. I'm on board with that. I don't think that Dan Rooney. I think Dan would have probably gone with a younger head coach. But this is Art's. This might be Omar Khan. It might be Omar Khan as much as it is Art Rooney. Let's not bring Omar Khan into this scenario. Okay. Omar Khan now kind of stretching out. Remember, there was a big power vacuum that just went right out the door when Mike Tomlin stepped away, right, 12 days ago. A huge power vacuum, just a paradigm shift has taken place. And so now Omar Khan has a much different position in this organization now in terms of his power and his voice that he has with Art Rooney. The man in charge for 19 years is gone. Something to keep in mind, okay? I'm quick to, pull out a poking stick and, point it at Art Rooney. Omar Khan played a big role in all of this, I would assume. I would think that there's something to be said about that as well. We're going to get Bill Akins in here. Of course, Bill Akins, the host of the Pittsburgh Sports Desk and Gridiron Weekly, Wednesday nights and Thursday nights at 8 o'clock here on this network. He, of course, was the executive producer of our Steel City Sunday show and co-host with me. We'll get him on here in about 30 seconds. We got more comments, lots of comments. We will share them through the course of the hour plus here that we're on the air tonight. Mike McCarthy, new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 17th in franchise history. McCarthy is an interim hire, did not want to lose the draft. Tomlin went, but we did not want another 20-year arrogant ego individual. You like the choice, apparently, does Wild Herb ways. Okay, Bill Akins, podcaster extraordinaire, bon vivant, and man about town joining us. Good evening, Bill. Are you shocked?
No, John, I'm not shocked. I mean, you and I talked about this earlier in the week. We knew Mike was the front runner. All the talking heads, all the experts were saying it. Just a lot of people, I think, weren't listening. They did some other interviews. They looked at some other guys. I think a lot of these young guys that Steeler faithful were hoping for just wasn't a good fit for them. They wanted to move on to other things, and I pretty much knew this was going to happen, and I'm okay with it. I would have liked a little bit younger, higher, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it became pretty clear that when Mike was turning down other interviews and that his focus became this job and this job only, and, the Rams obviously winning the divisional and then moving on into the playoffs, it started to really line up that way Thursday. And I said, hey, he's right now the odds-on favorite. And, a lot of people were like, no, this is no good. It feels like this could be a 3-4 year thing max, maybe. And then maybe there's a changing of the guard at some point in time. I mean, who knows how this will play out? We don't know. We don't know how this is all going to play out, obviously. But what I'm excited about more than anything is that at least we've got a coach in here that has a modern sense of the modern style of football and how offenses work in today's NFL. We have been lacking in that for decades. The other thing I will say, and I made this a point in one of the shorts that I did earlier in the week, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I have to demand that there's more money spent on my staff, analytics, right? I mean, who the hell ever heard of a running game coordinator? I never heard of a running game coordinator. Apparently, there's a bunch of teams in the league that have a running game coordinator, a passing game coordinator. You know what I mean? Right? So, for a franchise that's worth $6.5 billion, hopefully Mike said, hey, where are we at with staff and what I can spend? If Mike's not going to come in here and take that kind of staff that Mike Tomlin did, I don't think he will. No. I guess we'll find out. But they better spend more money on staff. That's one of the things I'm hoping Mike will drag them also into the new millennia with. I don't know how you feel about it. Yeah,
and I mean, hey, you got a coach that has an extensive head coaching pedigree. He's 310 games of head coaching experience, winning track record, right? He has 185 total wins, sixth most among active coaches in the past 20 seasons. Has recorded 11 seasons with 10 or more wins. He's known for developing quarterbacks, which, John, that's something we haven't had in a very long time, right? Anybody that can develop a quarterback. He's the first offensive-minded coach that the Steelers have had in over 50 years. 50 years. And, breaking the mold of the defensive guys and the defensive specialists as coaches, he's breaking that mold. Hey, more than likely Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. I don't look at that as a bad thing. I don't know why everybody is, I'm great with this, He's, it was a cultural fit. Yeah, I know, he's from Greenfield,
right.
But He has ties to Omar Khan. I mean, they worked in New Orleans together.
That's right. That's right. Look, there is some symmetry here, and there's some, history here, obviously, with some of these guys. And you mentioned Omar Khan. I talked about him earlier. I'm sure that this all kind of ties together, and it just being maybe a more comfortable fit with the idea that, hey, Mike, let's see what you can do to get us to a some postseason wins, right? Being more competitive. Let's see the offense grow. I really, and I'm almost certainly adamant about this right now. I just don't think they can package up what they have. And now that you're on here, I should probably go and look at this. I said I was going to look at it a few minutes ago, and then I got distracted. I think they have 10 or 11 picks for the draft this year, right? Yeah. Whatever the number is. I think it's 11, but I'll try to look it up here in a few minutes before the show's over. However many it is, they need to maximize the value of every single one of those, right? I don't think they should go after a quarterback. I think you've got to decide on what you want to do with Mason, right? I think he's here on a 2-year deal. So, once that's figured out, if you're not going to go with him, there's talk about going after a Malik Willis. For what it's worth, Will Howard will get some snaps, assuming he doesn't get hurt. We'll get a chance to actually see what he can maybe do in terms of throwing the football against, limited competition in the preseason games. But there is that positive vibe I get about McCarthy and the offense. I'm excited to see what that yields next year.
Danny Bowling, I see you chiming in. You're saying, he keeps hearing you guys talk, but can you tell me when was the last time Mike McCarthy won a playoff game? I can tell you, Danny, January 16th, 2023, 31-14 wild card victory against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's the last time so pretty recent, right? Pretty recent.
Yeah, it is pretty recent. So, Mean Green checking in also. Do you think the McCarthy hire is a good or bad one? I think it's middle of the road, but look, again, pedigree. He's proven that he can win. He can win regular season games for sure. This is going to be. We'll see how this plays out. I'm more fit than 50% certain that we will get Aaron Rodgers to come back for one more year. Tell Bill that Ethan says hello.
Hey, Ethan.
All right, now what is this, 7th grade where we're passing notes back and forth to people? Terrible hire, more the same from Danny in the chat. We've got more comments rolling in here. Let's see what else we got in here.
If I can say another thing.
Good, Bill. Yeah, of course.
We know what Art said in his press conference, right? He does. I mean, he pretty much said it. He does not believe in a rebuild. He said this. He does not believe in a rebuild, right? He said, "Why waste a year trying to rebuild when you could put the effort into trying to win?" Okay, so that tells me it's a win now mentality, right? This is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer if that's the direction you want to go. And obviously, Art, that's the direction he wants to go. You're hiring one of the most experienced coaches available. I mean, they've desired to maintain competitive stability, whatever that is. I mean, right, rather than undergoing a lengthy rebuilding process with a younger candidate. So this is what we got.
Yeah, I know you're okay with it. I still maintain that if we would have lost that last game against Baltimore, we'd be talking about a different head coach.
I mean, I'm
certain of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I called Tracy today, my co-host on the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, and I think he summed it up perfectly. He said, would have liked a little bit younger guy, but I'll take it. It's a good situation, and I agree with them. I would have liked a Chris Shula, I would have liked some. He said Ray Tracy actually said I would have liked a little bit a guy with more longevity in the long run. But I'll take it, and I'm with them. I'll take it.
Well, that's why I want to see who these coordinators end up becoming. Right. I think you know what I mean. Like, who are the coordinators that are going to come in here? That's going to be a telling factor. Now you bring in a 30-something coordinator or somebody that's in their 40s on the McCarthy tree, right? And they come in and they're successful. God forbid they get to a Super Bowl. God forbid they even win one. What more does McCarthy have to do at that point in time? And you've got your successor, right? I think that's the play here. Long-term, 3 to 5 years down the road. The Steelers are banking on McCarthy magic offensively, right? I think we're going to see a bit of a shift. I don't think we're going to package up and try to get to a quarterback. I don't, quite frankly, the ones that you want to go after are not, they're going to be long gone, right? I don't think you have enough in your arsenal to get a number 1 or number 2. I don't think the Raiders are going to give up the number 1 for anything, to be quite honest with you. And why should they, right? Geno Smith isn't the answer. They're going to take Fernando Mendoza most likely, and that's a safe play for them. So what do? If you've got 10 or 11 picks, you maximize it. You know what I mean? You're taking a wide receiver. You're trying to find a linebacker or a cornerback. You're taking linemen. You're taking edge rushers, right? You're taking in the positions where you need depth and you need to develop, and those are positions where they certainly need both of those. A couple of wide receivers would be a good thing for them. And as far as Todd Haley coming back, I don't know if that'll be the case. I know he's going to be coaching in the UFL here in the next month or so. He's been signed on as a coordinator for one of the teams.
Columbus Aviators.
Okay. So, there you go. But I think they play all those games in Birmingham, do they not?
No, actually they're going to – no, they're actually going to have – they're all at their prospective cities this year.
Oh, okay. So Todd will be right down the road, and maybe he does know Mike McCarthy, and perhaps that could be an avenue for Todd. Who knows? I know he wants to get back into the league, and he certainly deserves another chance. Go ahead, Bill.
I can say a guy like this is going to attract big name coordinators. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's a lot of guys that are going to want to work under Mike McCarthy. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, because they get head coaching jobs.
Correct.
They get head coaching jobs.
Correct. And if I'm going to say another thing too. I remember in the 2023 season, that's the last time that Mike McCarthy won, like I stated earlier. But I can remember it was Dallas Cowboys training camp, and I can remember somebody asking him, Dak has struggled with in the red zone, because the previous years Dak had struggled in the red zone. He goes, what are you going to do in this camp and to get him to where he needs to be? He says, we're going to work with him. We got some things we're going to tweak. And he says, he's going to be just fine. He says, I have a plan for Dak Prescott. I can remember this as clear as day. And you want to know something? You know what Dak Prescott did in 2023? He led the NFL in touchdown passes. So, we're in good hands, people. We're in good hands.
Well, the offense is in good hands, I think. Yeah. That's the win here, and that's something that hasn't been. You haven't been able to say that. We have 12 draft picks, by the way, coming up. That includes projected compensatories for the Steelers. So the full list. I'm trying to pull that up here while I've got you on here with me, Bill. I'll get to that in a moment. You haven't been able to say that since at least 2018, right? Or 2019, when Ben's elbow, when he had the injury, you knew, you knew the writing was on the wall. And they had, I don't know, I still don't know how they went 11-0 to begin the 2020 season, the COVID year. And then, the way Ben, man, I still one of the greatest performances in a regular season game I've ever seen in my entire life. Guy had no arm, and somehow he willed us to victory in Baltimore, into overtime, and into the playoffs. We haven't been able to say that for quite some time now about this offense, right? I feel good about really what the offense is going to look like next year under Mike McCarthy. And again, where it's 2026, since 2018. Right? When we were able to talk 2017, 2018, since we were able to say, I don't have any questions about the offense, or I'm excited about the offense. I'm excited about the offense to see what we get under McCarthy come summer and then into the fall, Bill.
Absolutely. I am too. It's he's a proven, like I said, he's a proven mentor, proven QB mentor.
And
I can
what
tell
more
you
can
that
be
much.
said about that? Okay.
So I guess we had a delay or something. I guess we're on a delay here. Hello, can you hear me, John? Hello. I'm
Okay.
here.
Let's see if I can get this comment up here, Bill. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill, I got to figure out. I've had this brand new laptop. Yeah, I'm spinning. I know you're
Okay.
there. I don't
Yeah.
know what's going on my end. I've got to get this
He
figured
said-
out. So
He's saying
anyhow,
let
12
in
picks. Bill, go ahead.
let in touchdown passes, but still didn't go nowhere. Well, I could tell you, he let in touchdown passes in 2023. They won a playoff game. We haven't done this. This is a franchise since 2016. So, I mean, let's just see where he goes with this. I really think we're in good hands. I really think we're in good hands. People are saying all this is Mike Tomlin 2.0. I don't really look at it that way. Okay, this is an offensive-minded head coach that we got. And we've needed something. We've needed a head coach like that for a very long time. Why? Why do we need an offensive-minded head coach? Because it's an offensive-minded league now. It is, right? You can't win.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, you can't win anymore playing good defense and running the football. You just can't. It's not 1996. It's 2026. So this is where we're
you
at.
have to be able to throw. Yeah, you have to be able to throw the football. No question about it, right? And I would take. If the defense performed better, you could win playoff games with what you got from your quarterback this year, right?
Sure.
You can
Absolutely.
get somewhere in the playoffs, right?
Absolutely.
If your defense is top 10, you might be able to maybe even get to a conference championship game. That would be a novel idea, right?
Right.
So right. I'm more excited about seeing who the defensive coordinator is going to be more than anything. That's
Right.
what I'm excited about. A new, fresh look on the defensive side from somebody who can look at the talent that we have, figure out who's the keep, who we're letting go, and I know a lot's been said about T.J. Watt. I know that he's on the backside of 30 now, and he got that big contract, and he had a down year. I think he's going to come back next year firing on all cylinders. And assuming he can stay healthy, which is a big question mark, let's just be honest. He has been banged up at times through the course of his career. But if we get a bounce back year from TJ, and I don't know how I feel about Cam Hayward right now coming back. I guess time will tell whether or not that he's actually going to come back. I'm okay if they move on. If he decides he's had enough and he's going to, not play, we'll see what happens with some of the guys in the secondary, Patrick Queen and a few others. I want to see who this defensive coordinator is. Or Jalen Ramsey, absolutely. What do they do? What decisions do they make once a coordinator gets in here? Once they have an entire staff in place, then they can sit down and start to figure out the pieces to the puzzle. Right? They can start to figure out the pieces to the puzzle, and don't think that that Mike McCarthy hasn't already probably placed a call and or talked to Aaron Rodgers this evening.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, Aaron said they asked him when his last year with the Jets, who would you want to play for? Who would you want to play for again? He said Mike McCarthy, hands down. He said I would love to play for Mike McCarthy again. He said that his last year at the Jets.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, look it up. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, he said that in a press conference. Another thing, too, that I heard about, I was listening to Moving the Chains with Pat Kerwin and Jimmy Miller. You know what the Pat said? He said Mike McCarthy is a great delegator. He says he's the type of guy who he'll hire good coordinators and he'll let them do what they do. He doesn't micromanage. He doesn't, and Mike Tomlin did that. Mike Tomlin had to have his hand in every facet of the Steelers, every facet of the Steelers he had to have his hand in. And this guy's I really believe we're gonna have good coordinators in here, and he's gonna let them do their job. And that's what we need. That's what we need.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I think that's the real critical component to this, is who he's able to bring in here, right? He's had two teams where he's had success at. He can reach into his coaching tree. He can see who's available. He's probably already been doing that, obviously. They've probably been in negotiations since Thursday.
Right.
I bet you they've probably been in negotiations since Thursday, since the Weaver interview wrapped up, right? I think that it just took a little longer in terms of, hey, who are you reaching out to? Who are you thinking about? And again, Omar Khan, right? Look at this. They 26 years ago or 25 years ago, they're in New Orleans together, and now look at where they're at. Khan is in a position where he is heavily involved in making. He's got to be. I can't imagine Art Rooney is telling his GM, "Hey, I got this. You sit on the sidelines and work out some contracts." You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
I think he was heavily involved in this, and that's a big factor here. That's a big factor here. And so now they've figured out, I think, and obviously they start to put things in place now. The contract, they have a signing, whatever it is. They'll probably have a press conference Monday. Well, not Monday. Good Lord in a quarter. They'll have a press conference at some point next week. Hey, they might bring out some plows, just heading down from heading down the Parkway East into over the Hot Metal Bridge and into the South Side, and to have a press conference for Mike. Maybe they can airdrop him in with one of the big airplanes from the military, but once C-130, big C-130 having Mike brought in here. So, they probably have a good idea. Hey, I'm going to call, here's who we're calling on offense here. I got these three on defense. We're going to call them. We're going to start making some things happen. We'll have a staff in place, I'd say week to 10 days. I'd say we have a pretty good idea by next Friday who our two coordinators are going to be. I think this will move pretty quickly. And that's a good thing, because once you have the coordinators in place, and you've had a conversation with Rodgers, and we'll let that play out as it would. And if Aaron's keen on the idea, now you can, with 12 picks, you have a chance to really help, but you got to get it right. You have to have the draft of a lifetime, and especially with it being here in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
Especially with it being here in Pittsburgh. And if you can pack it, and now you've also got the ability to maybe possibly package up a player or two. Maybe you can move. Aaron is not coming back, according to TCOG69.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it.
I don't. Right now, I'm saying it's 50. I'd say it's 60-40. He is.
Yeah,
I'd say 60-40 right now.
Mark Cabali said it's 80-20. That's what Mark Cabali said.
So there you go. And Mark would know. Mark has been covering the team for 22 years, 23 years, something like that. I would trust what Kaboom says, and I think that all these conversations have already been had. Right. Yeah. I would think that all these conversations have taken place, and that's when the Rooneys said, okay, let's get this done. Right. Yeah. Let's get this done, because I think Mike has an idea of who his coordinators are going to be. Well, that's just me. I think he knows who he wants, and I think he feels like he can go out and get them.
Do you not think that the Rooneys in Khan and everybody in the brass didn't talk to Aaron, after that playoff game and said, hey, what's it going to take for you to come back? Do you think he might have said, hey, if you hire Mike McCarthy, I'll be back?
Possible. Very much a real conversation you could have had, for sure. It's our IV-22. Hopefully Rodgers doesn't come back. He's the Statue of Liberty in the pocket. And then one more comment from TCOG69. We lost that one. I thought I had that up. Sean McDermott will join McCarthy on his staff.
I would be. I would be okay with that. Maybe he wants to not. Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to be a head coach for a while, and would take an OC position. That would, I'd be okay with that.
That would be very ideal, actually.
Let's look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers last year: 3,322 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
It's a good year.
It's a good year. It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, 100%. I'd take that again. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. Right. I think the receiving core probably liked playing with him. Maybe maybe not Jonnu Smith so much, maybe,
No.
but
Well,
I would. And now that we know, look, I mean,
hey, he didn't run the right routes. So what do you? I mean, if you're a
Hey, what the
quarterback
F are
and
you
you're
doing?
yeah, if you're a quarterback and your receiver's not running the right routes, are you going to be happy with them? Oh, it's okay, it's all right. You effed up that route, you're okay. No, you're not going to be okay with it.
Tomlin's favorite is Todd Haley, the OC. Is that true? I saw a rumor on X. I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of rumors flying around and speculating. Yeah. I have not reached out to Todd. So, go ahead.
How about Arthur Smith going to Ohio State?
Yeah, Paul told me that. That just had to have happened. Like
It just happened about an hour and a half ago.
Okay, I was chopping people up at the Rivers Poker Room this evening, so wasn't on my radar. Sorry. But anyhow, thanks for joining us. We have a nice crowd tuning in this evening on Pittsburgh Sports Tonight Special Edition. Mike McCarthy, 17th head coach in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're pleased you could be joining us this evening. We've got Bill Akins for about another 3-4 minutes, and then we're going to bring Mike Ostie on here. Mike, managing editor of West Virginia Sports Now, part of the Pittsburgh Sports Now family of websites, national writer for Yardbarker, and can be heard on Sirius XM. He was a part of our pregame show all season long. Mike is a West Virginia grad and has covered the Steelers for Pittsburgh Sports Now over his time and tenure there. He'll be coming on in just a few minutes. We'll get one or two more comments, and then we'll get Bill on his way. I lived in Penn Hills, PA for 3 years, was there for Super Bowl 40. That from Sam Oliver. Okay, well, that's good. All right, well, congratulations. Asked Todd Haley if he would be OC. I wonder if he got a call from McCarthy. I don't know. I know he did a podcast earlier, did Todd, and that was just recently released on X. I don't know what he has said. I'll try to reach out to him after the show's over or tomorrow and, pick his brain a little bit if he wants to talk about it. I'm sure Todd would itch. I'm sure Todd would love to get back into the NFL. I hope Todd Haley I hope he gets another crack at it. I really do. Well, I really, really do. I think he is. He's still got a solid mind. He obviously knows the game, and he's got the pedigree to be, on an NFL coaching staff somewhere calling plays. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, these coaches. Well, he took a job in the UFL. He's itching to get back in, right?
Right.
I mean, or else he wouldn't have taken that job. And I mean, it's just. You want to continue to hone your craft, right? The UFL is kind of like a stepping stone, right? You want to continue to hone your craft, and you're waiting for that call again from somebody in the NFL. So, I say one thing: what a great time to cover the Steelers. I mean, it's what a great time to cover the Steelers. It's great. It's wonderful.
It is. I'm trying to go back here now. My first real coaching search was in 92 was when, obviously when Chuck Noll stepped down and Bill Cowher took over, and, was able to cover his first scrimmage and covered him early in his career over on Ardmore Boulevard, and then, later working for the Flagship again and doing evenings, and, through the, early portion of Mike's career over at 93.7 The Fan, and certainly the 2010 Super Bowl run. This is a good time. It's a good time, and it's nice that we were able to put the season together like we did, and we're off and running with shows, and hopefully people will continue to enjoy the live programming. We are not podcasters. Bill's a podcaster, right? We are live broadcasting events here. If you're just checking us out for the first time, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Like and subscribe here. If you're checking us out on X for the first time, please subscribe over there as well. More content and programming continuing to come. Okay, I've been putting daily shorts out now. We have our show, Pittsburgh Sports Tonight, goes 3 nights a week, starting next week, and then the week of the Super Bowl, and then after the Super Bowl is over, 4 nights a week. 4 nights a week at 7 o'clock. Pittsburgh Sports Tonight, the show you're watching right now, 4 nights a week. So please make us a part of your routine in the evening times. Bill Akins, who's on my right, Wednesday night, he's got at 8 o'clock the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. You can watch that at 8 p.m. And then on Thursdays, it's the Gridiron Weekly Show where they talk about football all season long. We're very proud to be part of the It's a Wrap Sports Network as well. So I'm excited to be able to join Al Zafari tomorrow at 9 a.m. That'll be on it. I'll be on around 9:50 tomorrow morning. Matty B is going to be on there as well. The It's a Wrap Sports Network guys do a good job of making sure we get on the air every single time that we're broadcasting shows. So we can't thank Matty B enough. But It's a Wrap Sports, you can find them online as well on YouTube, on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It's a Wrap Sports. All right, Bill, I'll let you go. I appreciate you giving me some of your time this evening. Mike McCarthy, 17th head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bill, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me, bud.
Okay, Bill Akins, again, executive producer of Steel City Sunday, co-host of the show, and the man who hosts the Pittsburgh Sports Desk and Gridiron Weekly. Hopefully in a couple minutes we get Mike Ostie in here. I want to get his thoughts. Almost 100 of you hanging out with us this evening. That's awesome. Big night, right? Huge night. And I'm okay with the decision. I really am. I am not one of these guys who's, we should have hired this coach or that coach. It should have been this person or that person. We got who we got because I think there's a plan in place. I think the Steelers have probably put some sort of plan in place with this guy, and we're just going to find out here soon enough what the plan exactly is. Alex Van Pelt or Luke Getsy for either both quarterback coach or OC from Crazy Ralph Williams. Long time no hear from you, Ralph. We had a fun night earlier this week with lots of comments on Bill's stream. Yeah, but Bill does a good job. I'm glad I work with him. Richard Locker. The Roonies and Omar are now called Dumb and Dumber. That's a pretty mean statement. Does John miss Tomlin? No, I don't. I don't, and I wish Mike Tomlin well. I think we need Tomlin back from Karen. Karen Sampson checking in via Facebook. No, we do not need Tomlin back. I really don't think Mike Tomlin will ever coach again. That's just my opinion. The way it sounds, if the Adam Thielen comments are true, and I have no reason to not believe Adam Thielen, if Mike Tomlin's saying the game is passing by and he's stepping away, I don't see how he's going to catch up to the game taking a year or two off. Now, I might be wrong, and $25 million a year might lure him back. That's a very good possibility. If I offered Mike Ostie $25 million a year and he was retired, he might come back. Mike Ostie joins us, managing editor of West Virginia Sports Now, part of the Pittsburgh Sports Now family of websites. Mike, good evening. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time.
Absolutely. I put the daughters to bed, and now I'm awaiting the winter storm, the Snowmageddon Part 2 from 15, 16 years ago, which ironically is the last time that Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy met in a Super Bowl, and Mike McCarthy's team got the victory. Wow. And now, who would have told Steeler fans back then after that Green Bay Packers Super Bowl loss that, hey, the head coach who just beat you and the quarterback who just beat you that already quarterbacked for you might be your head coaching quarterback 15 plus years later, and that's where we are right now. But I would do whatever you want for $25 million. I would coach your team if you need me.
Well, listen, if I can get you the $25 million, can you get me a phone number for the men's basketball coach at West Virginia so I can ask him why his team couldn't make 2 more baskets in this game today, for crying out loud, Mike?
Yeah, I have it. I can get you his number, but I would have told you that the bet might have been okay at home, but not on the road. Not on the road.
Just in case anybody's wondering why I'm screaming at Mike, I had a slightly unhealthy amount of money on West Virginia over 144.5 today, and they decided to shoot 32% against the number 1 team in the country. Pretty good basketball team that they played today, Mike, that's for sure.
Number 1 team in the country is little.
Pretty good. Okay, enough of West Virginia and their failures to get me a few extra points today. Let's talk about Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Is it the decision that you expected, and is it a good decision overall in your mind?
Yeah. So it's not the name that I would have bet on. No, I didn't expect this. And and I will say, and as you know, when decisions are made and people make predictions and after the fact, everybody says, oh, I saw it coming. I knew. I will tell you, I did not expect the Steelers to actually hire Mike McCarthy. I was not surprised they interviewed him. I was not surprised they interviewed him at all. I kind of thought that made sense, and maybe they were even picking his brain on just a myriad of things in the NFL, who he would recommend, what he would do with the staff, his thoughts. He's an accomplished coach. He's been around. That made sense, separate from even the local ties. I did not think they would actually hire him, and almost no one I talked to in or around Pittsburgh media, and then even sources who know what's going on with the Steelers, led me in any direction that this was going to be Mike McCarthy. So I am surprised that he actually got this job. I will only say that as the days went by, and this goes off more of the national reporting, I maybe got less surprised. So by the time we got the news today, I was less surprised than if this was a week ago or 3 or 4 days ago, but I didn't think they would land on Mike McCarthy. And I'll be frank, I don't think it's a good hire. I don't like it. This is not only against the Steelers' way, this is not a long-term solution. This means that even if they win, they're going to be doing this again in 5 years. They do not like to do that. This kicks the can further down the road, especially if you're bringing back Aaron Rodgers. And as much as I do think it was a successful move for 2025, and he partly got them in the postseason, he was the best quarterback they've had in 5 years. I have no problem with him personally. He did fine, especially for his age. Having him be the guy again going into the season at 42, I don't care who the head coach is, kicks the can further down the road. Maybe you could have him in there for one more year and mentor a rookie, okay, but it's hard to get excited about that now as he goes into year 42. And when you have an older coach, this is not like you bring in someone who's 37 years old. You have one more year of Rodgers, and then you go to the future. But that coach will be there for the long haul, like Bill Cowher was, or like Mike Tomlin was. McCarthy doesn't have the long haul. This is a short-term remedy. This is a Band-Aid with Mike McCarthy, and yet he's your guy. So the weirdest part about this, too, which is also why I like this the least, this is the biggest reason why I dislike this. Chris Shula still coaching in the NFC Championship game. There were even other coaches still coaching in the postseason. Yeah, they maybe could have talked to them. You could do things with via Zoom, but they didn't even get them in the building yet. You didn't get Shula in the building yet. You make this decision before getting him in the building. Why could you not have told Mike McCarthy, we like the interview, we know the resume, we like you, let's wait until Sunday night at minimum, see the result of the game. If he becomes free, we'll get him in the building, and then we'll talk to him, and you're in the running, and we'll see what we decide after having a top coordinator who would be mirroring our previous 2 hires, maybe be the guy. If not, maybe it still be you. If he wins, we don't want to wait until mid-February, so then it'll probably be you. Fine. But we don't even get to Sunday night. And we got the McCarthy news on Saturday night before the game. That seems odd as well. So this is just so uncharacteristic of the Steelers. And I get that some maybe kind of like that it's off the Steelers script because that hasn't worked forever. But you end up being fed up with the coach that had a ring that couldn't win a playoff game in recent years to bring in another coach with a ring that can't win a playoff game in recent years. I just don't see, this isn't like you're bringing in Belichick or something that, okay, for 1 or 2 years, go make a run for a championship with a roster that's not ready to do it. But McCarthy's not that. He doesn't guarantee you more than regular season success, which is what Mike Tomlin was delivering.
He was, and you're right about most of that. I mean, at least I feel like your opinion is fair. It's fair what you're saying. And sometimes, and I had to think about this too, we don't and are not privy to what the back channel conversations are taking place between Khan, agents for Shula, right? You know what I mean? Like the developments.
They could be told that he's not interested. Maybe.
That's right.
I mean, sure.
That's right. Right. That's possible. Right. It's possible. And I'm in the same camp as you. Why not wait until tomorrow night? Then you make. Right, you see what I'm saying? Right, I don't disagree. This is why I say
I would feel better if this was a Monday morning decision after the NFC title game, or even at midnight after the game is over. But to do this now, I could even see it getting leaked before kickoff because maybe they're deciding. I could even see a Schefter report that the Steelers are waiting for that game, but are leaning in on Mike McCarthy. But to have this where the Steelers even put up their tweet and they make their announcement, this means this was in the works with press releases hours before Schefter put it out there. They're done. I mean, it almost feels like they talked to McCarthy. He gave them his sales pitch. He put up the PowerPoints of how he started his career with Joe Montana when he was real young and then got to hear in maturing quarterbacks, and that they were sold. And I'm not taking, the resume is the resume. McCarthy is a damn good coach. I also think people that act like he did nothing with Dallas aren't being fair. He did win 12 games 3 years in a row. He didn't coach poorly in the playoffs. They had players that played poorly. He did win a championship. You could argue if you're going to put Tomlin in the Hall of Fame that depending on how this goes, maybe McCarthy gets there someday. It's not like he's a bad coach. You could do worse. However, this is a similar hire to what the Raiders just did with Pete Carroll. That went horrendously, and he's now out after 1 year. I do wonder what the leash is going to be with a 60-plus-year-old coach in Mike McCarthy. If he has a 10-7 year and you lose in the first round, how many years of that are you going to give him? Because that's what he's been doing, and that's what you just had, and the fans are fed up to that. If it's worse, how many years are you going to give him? And then, separately from all of that, again, I just don't see the rush when you have another comparable candidate waiting in the wings. And I certainly wouldn't want to hear from Art Rooney II that, well, we couldn't wait for another day of a playoff game. Like, I don't know what the reasoning could be. And unless they just don't like him, as you're saying, unless he put out to his agent, I don't want the Steelers job because it's a bit, maybe he thinks it's a rebuild. You could argue that despite the history. I don't know. The weird part about this too, and then I'll throw the mic back. Mike McCarthy had no other options. This is not like you're competing with somebody else for him. This is it. You could tell Mike, we have the cards. We like you. We're waiting 2 days. And if Mike doesn't like that, then who is Mike going to coach? No one. This is it. It's not like he had no leverage. Mike McCarthy had no leverage here.
No, of course. No, he absolutely did not. That's why I'm saying something has happened between Thursday and the Weaver interview, the defensive coordinator from Miami. Nice guy, and I think could make a good head coach somewhere, or maybe he could make a good defensive coordinator here. Here's what I'm saying is this: some sort of conversation I think back channel happened, right? And the Steelers were like, "Oh, all right, hey Mike, here's where we're at. We'll take you, but we want to talk about coordinators." What are you thinking? Maybe the Steelers have a plan with him saying, hey, Mike, you're 62. We know you're not going to coach 20 years, right? Yeah. You're going to probably coach 5, 7, 8 years. If you get us to a couple playoff wins and a championship, how do we hand this off to somebody? And I think that I mean, just me speculating here and trying to think off the top of my head. This isn't just, all right, we're going to hire him and see what happens. Something has happened since Thursday where conversations are being had, and this has escalated pretty quickly. I would think it probably escalated sometime yesterday, and it just kind of worked its way into whatever it did today. Just my thoughts on that, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fair to think that way. And I don't know. The only problem, John, is we are probably not going to get that really confirmed by Rooney during the intro presser. He's not going to sit there and say we were told no by somebody. You know what I mean? Maybe he'll dance around it, but that's a fair thinking. I just don't know whenever we're really going to get that confirmed right now. It might be years before we fully know that or that's really confirmed. But it also feels like that would have had to occur 24 hours ago to be at this point. They were ready to go with McCarthy in the afternoon of Saturday before that game. So that is very, very fair. We have to see who he puts on his staff. We have to see that. If you end up with, some of these candidates on his staff, then maybe, egg is on our face that maybe the Steelers have somehow convinced everybody that they'll do this bridge situation with McCarthy. And then in 2 or 3 years, they have the guy that everybody wanted already waiting in the wings and they're paying him a lot as the D coordinator or whatever. The only counter to that I will say, the Steelers franchise is relatively cheap when it comes to paying assistant coaches. So while what you're thinking is fair, if I am one of those candidates and there's other jobs still open, I probably would say to the Steelers, if I'm Weaver or even if I'm Shula, if they come to me and say, hey, we have the John Phillips plan. We have a local guy that won a ring already. Let him come in for 2 years. Would you work underneath him? And then we'll hand it off to you in 2 or 3 years, regardless. I may say, how much? I got a head coach offer over here. And they may say, well, we're the Steelers. We lowball assistants. And I would say, I don't think so. So I'd like to see that hire. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Obviously, Arthur Smith now gone to Ohio State. And I also like to see the money they're getting. Because the Steelers, again, go cheap with the coordinators. So it'd be hard for me to imagine somebody who's a candidate is going to take a cheap salary to be the guy waiting in the wings. Are they going to pay more than normal to have this kind of be a handing off of a baton? If you see a high salary for a coordinator, maybe they're thinking that. Although I will add, John, that's a risky business because you know how these fans work. If you kind of get in bed with somebody as the guy waiting in the wings and it doesn't go well, nobody's going to want that guy. You know what I mean? You're not going to want the guy on the staff who's not winning. So it is a risk that for that to work out, you got to win. And I don't think this team is ready to win. If I'm McCarthy, I get wanting to coach in Pittsburgh. This could risk his legacy. I don't know if this goes well right away. And he doesn't have years to make this go well like a younger coach would.
No, he does not have years. You're absolutely right. And I do think that they have been game planning this probably since Thursday or Friday sometime. Yeah. I think some sort of conversation happened with Shula's people. I think that's a real plausible possibility here, right? Because why aren't you waiting 24 hours to see if they win or lose just to bring them in, right?
Right.
But
and how embarrassing is that, though? How embarrassing is if the top guy says that to you? That would really be a hit to that franchise because this is still the Steelers, even though it's been rough the last decade. They still did get in the playoffs. To have the 30-something attractive coach before his playoff game basically put out to his agent, I don't want that job. If true, that feels like that's a little bit of an ego hit for a Steelers franchise.
Let's talk about this for a minute. What's going on in Cleveland right now? Have you seen what's going on up there? Did you hear about the story yesterday? So apparently the Browns are making these guys do homework.
I've seen the personality test. Would we
personality?
Would end up as on their test? Yeah.
I'm not gonna speak because I don't know if I have an attorney on retainer right now. But anyhow,
I wouldn't pass either. I'm sure.
You're right. So here's another plausible scenario, Mike.
He could end up there. Yeah.
Well, he could, but why? What are the Steelers going to spend? And you mentioned earlier, what are they going to spend? Not just in terms of salaries.
Yeah.
How big of the staff are they going to provide to the new administration coming in? Again, I had never heard, and I hate to say this, I had never heard of a running back coordinator or a running game coordinator or a passing game coordinator.
It's popular in college. It's in college.
But apparently the Carolina Panthers have them. Apparently the Rams have them. Apparently I think Seattle has them. And there's a few other teams that apparently have the staff is too small and they don't pay enough.
Yeah. Maybe, and there's no salary cap for the staff. They could do more.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that maybe McCarthy's willing to take a little less and he's not going to buck the system. And maybe the conversations in the last day or so have maybe gone in that avenue where they may call back to, let's just say that hypothetically, it's Omar Khan calling the agent for Shula and saying, "Hey, where are we at? Are we still good? If they lose, are we going to be able to get them in here? Well, hey, what are you going to promise in terms of staff? What are you going to promise in terms of budget? What are you going to promise in terms of analytics?"
And he's like,
right? Yeah, exactly. Right. That it's almost like a Cleveland scenario. It's almost like a Cleveland scenario where they have some things and look, that ownership group up there is what it is. It's like the ownership group up in Buffalo right now. You'd think that the Bills job would have been is a hot commodity. Not right now. Not after that press conference the other day for Crowd.
Yeah, but maybe unless Shula's thinking too. And of course, I know that they probably want the Josh Allen guy to be friends with Josh Allen and it'd be all about the quarterback. And that's a complete mess, of course. But especially when you're comparing between the Bills and the Browns or even the open jobs in general, including the Steelers, I'm sure there's going to be a young coach that's going to talk to the Bills and say, man, the owner's ridiculous. Please don't do any more pressers. They weren't fair to the previous staff. It's really high expectations here. It is a mess. Maybe God hates them. There might even be a curse going on. But I get to coach Josh Allen. I'll freaking do it. Like they do have the Josh Allen chip. The Steelers do not have.
They do.
I mean,
there
might
right.
even be a coach that is thinking, I got Josh Allen. If I get one ring in 20 years with Josh Allen, I have a statue there. I'm gone.
Yeah, several. You're absolutely right.
So that could be an attractive. That's still now in comparison to the Browns job. The Browns job to me is not attractive. I get the high draft pick. I'm not sold on Shador. I think the management, while they're younger and I'm younger, and that might be cool. The personality test and all of that is ludicrous. It comes off of as nerds trying to run, a fraternity. Right. It's just not going to work out. They think they're the cool kids, and it's not been working for years. I don't see that working. That never works. Myles Garrett is there, and that's the attractive piece. But at any moment, he could ask out despite signing a new contract, and then you're screwed. So that seems like a powder keg waiting to be more than a dumpster fire that it already is. But the Bills maybe is more attractive than the Steelers for sure because of Allen. I don't see if job to job, the Browns being more attractive than the Steelers' job. Maybe coaches think that because maybe the Steelers' job isn't that great right now. The roster is far from win now, but they did just get in the playoffs. They need a quarterback, all of that. I just don't – if I'm Shula's camp and I get the money situation, I'll put it this way. If what you're saying is what happened, and I don't discount it, I can't confirm or deny that right now. If that happened because it makes sense, especially the timing of this, there's two things that I'll add then. Number one, that really speaks to the lack of leverage that Mike McCarthy had because, as you're saying, Mike McCarthy just wants back in there. It's his local team. He might have said to them, okay, small staff, no money, chances aren't great, late round draft pick, whatever. I want to come back to Pittsburgh and I have no other jobs. I want to coach again. Like he's going to take anything. He has no room to be calling shots. And the other end of that is that would really lead Steeler fans to be in a world of hurt, and that would be a glass half empty take for Steeler fans, because then if you're a Steeler fan, you're sitting there saying, man, Art Rooney II's behind the times. If we do not spend more on this coaching staff, if we do not make this job more attractive to people, and they don't care about the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, the 70s, the Ring of Honor, the Hall of Honor, all of that. They want to win now and in this era. And if we don't fix all of that, we're screwed. So that's the thing. It feels like that maybe the Rooneys thought to themselves, again, if what you're saying is true, well, we don't love any of these coordinators. How can we do this the cheap and easy way? Okay, here's a coach with a ring who's at least a winner. And the Rooneys don't realize that if he has a 10-7 season and loses right away, and it's 1 year, it's not fair after 1 year. But people are going to say what I saw Paul Zeitz said, who led up your show. They let Mike Tomlin walk out the door to hire Mike Tomlin again. It's a similar resume. If he does the similar thing, it's not a 4-win bad job. It's not awful. But I just had somebody reply to one of my posts about Mike Tomlin just today, a Dallas Cowboys fan saying, I can't believe this after his awful tenure in Dallas. He won 12 games 3 years in a row.
Yeah, and he won a playoff game. He won a playoff game as well.
But I just think Mike McCarthy's underestimating this too. He's going to go in there, and if he doesn't win a playoff game soon, the Steeler fans are going to think it's an awful tenure as well. Like, this isn't going to be butterflies, rainbows, and unicorns for him. The Steeler ownership kind of has a weird mentality that these division titles are going to be good enough. And I get there's a lot of work here, and if you win a division in year one, that's good. It's not bad, but I would rather a scenario, and I think Steeler fans would rather a scenario that if it's going to be rough for a couple years, let it be rough with a younger coach, not a 62-year-old coach who doesn't have that long. That's my issue here. We have to see the staff. We have to see the money. Maybe McCarthy will win. I don't think his tenure is fair to say it's all bad of his career. It's been slandered a little bit, but I just don't like this hire now. Maybe he was 10 years younger. This just feels... And it's very uncharacteristic. This is the oldest coach they've ever hired. This is by far the oldest head coach they've ever hired. They never even had a coach in his 60s outside of, a couple, but certainly not to this prominent position. This is just odd. It's odd.
Well, it's odd until we find out who the coordinators are going to be. I think that's going to be
live the night of the decision.
You know what I mean? That's we got people in the comments saying, "Hey, what about Brian Callahan as offensive coordinator? That's coming in from Ethan is King." We've got another one. He's also asking about Raheem Morris or Jonathan Gannon. I want to see who the coordinators are going to be. Yeah,
I like Raheem Morris.
Right.
By the way, I thought he shouldn't have got fired. I like Raheem Morris. They played hard for him, and he only got a couple years of the shot. I like Raheem Morris.
Mike, I appreciate you coming on board, buddy. Always great stuff from you, despite your alma mater costing me. I'll live. Thankfully, the poker players at the Rivers are not so good.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's how I'll connect it, and this is maybe this is maybe a glass half full for the Steelers, as I will finally drop the mic here, and I'll connect it to the West Virginia in some way. There were some detractors to them bringing back Rich Rod just for the fact of he's older, can he still do it, etc. Right. People saying what you're saying, are they going to go cheap here? The staff can be small, and what happened? They brought him in, and it hasn't worked out yet, but they brought him in, and all of a sudden, they spent more to the coaching staff than the previous staff had. They made the staff bigger, and they had a real bad year one. But now they're getting an NIL budget over $10 million. They're spending, they're stealing 4-star recruits left and right. They're trying to build it up. What I'm saying is they're doing what you're saying. WVU brought in an older coach, and everyone, outside the fans were saying, it's not going to work. And they said, we're going to spend more now. Maybe the Steelers are thinking the same thing. They're bringing an older coach. Okay, we will spend more. We will act different. We will put more in. Now, that hasn't worked for West Virginia, clearly, but at least the effort is there in terms of spending. That's what you want to see. Will the Steelers do that? If they still go cheap with the staff, that then tells me they took the easy way out, and it's not going to work out, and it's not going to be easy at all. So we have to see, but there's really pressure on this now, and I think there's more pressure on Mike McCarthy than he thinks. These fun appearances on the Pat McAfee show aren't going to be as fun if he has a very similar to Mike Tomlin tenure. So that's all that is. It's not fair.
Here's what I'll say. It's going to take probably a few weeks, right, to get the staff in place, figure out what contracts are, right? The guys that have been covering the team for years, guys like Alan Saunders, guys like Cabali, guys like Dulac, Ray Fittipaldo, they'll figure all those numbers out, and we'll get a feel for that probably by February, and then we'll see. But it really is going to come down to who are the names? Are they connected to Mike? I know that he had made it a point when he interviewed with Tennessee and with Pittsburgh.
Too.
Yeah, right. And getting Aaron back too. And they've got 12 picks. They've got 12 selections for April. Okay.
That's true.
They haven't been figured out yet. So, and again, I don't know what Mason was brought in on.
Coach in the NFL. He's the second oldest coach in the NFL now behind Andy Reid.
He is, but he does bring a fresh mind for the offense in terms of what they have had. So, again, who the coordinators come in, do they allow him a bigger staff? Are they spending some more money? We'll have to evaluate that over the next couple of weeks.
We need to see all that for sure. Yeah, to be fair, this is reactionary. We have to see all of that. Maybe it'll work out. I don't think they're going to be horrendous like Mike Tomlin. He's a damn good coach. They're going to get to a certain level. They will play hard for him. Clearly Aaron Rodgers even respects him, and there were rumors at the time that he helped get rid of him at Green Bay. I'm not saying those rumors were true, but he's a mature, quality coach who's been around. Players are going to want to play for him. Maybe that'll bring Rodgers back, and maybe that's fine. And, we also will see, because there's people speculating that they hired Mike McCarthy just to bring Rodgers back. I will say from what I've heard, and I can confidently say this, the decision to hire Mike McCarthy was not 100% just for Aaron Rodgers. That would be a boneheaded, ridiculous decision. I mean, that would just be insane. Maybe it's a factor, but that can't be the only thing they sat down and said, okay, this is all even with Shula and McCarthy despite age. McCarthy's better with Rodgers. Like, that can't be it. He's a 42-year-old quarterback. This is not, again, 10 years ago. That wasn't all the decision was. They have to be sold on the game plan. They have to be sold on him as an offensive mind. They have to be sold on the track record. They maybe want stability, even if it's only for a few years, even if it's a bridge, but it'll be a stable 3 or 4 or 5 year period bridge. Maybe they want all of that, and maybe he will maybe he can even bring in connections on the cheap. Maybe they bring a bigger staff, but it's cheap because they want to do their favor to Mike McCarthy. I mean, maybe that's part of it too. So maybe there's selling points here, and maybe what we won't get admitted to us, maybe they were told no by Shula and didn't like anybody else and thought, well, we don't want to get in bed with a bad guy for 10 years, so let's bring in McCarthy for 5. Like, maybe that's the thinking too.
Okay.
If that's the thinking, I totally get it. But if Rodgers does not come back, that'll really tell you that it wasn't all about Rodgers. I mean, there are people that think this is just purely Rodgers, and that's the only part of this decision that they cared about. I don't buy that. I haven't heard that. I don't buy that. They're smarter than that, you would think, despite this being an odd decision. That just would be insane to me. But we will see what Rodgers does. That's a really interesting part of this. We might even get the coordinators before Rodgers, but that's a big linchpin here. Do you get another year of Rodgers? Do you not? And who's the rest of the staff? As for live reaction, I'm not thrilled though.
I think the Rodgers decision has probably already been figured out.
Probably.
But I think they're gonna wait until they get the coordinators, then it'll roll out as it is. Mike Oste, managing editor of West Virginia Sports Now, part of the Pittsburgh Sports Now family of websites, national writer for Yardbarker. You can read his stuff on Pittsburgh Sports Now as well, and heard on Sirius XM. Go follow Mike on his X account.
Yeah.
He breaks news, folks. He's in the know, and he does a great job. Are you still coming down off of the amazing story with the Penn State uniform change? That was a pretty good one. Is Pablo Torre still following you, by the way?
He still does. I haven't been on his pod yet, but he still does follow me.
Okay.
So, yeah. I got to get on there. We'll see if he still cares. Yeah, I'm down off of that high. Yeah, for sure. As insane as that time period was. I break some news, but which I guess the most interesting man in America. I don't always break news, but when I do it with the Secchies or
something.
Yeah, something like that. No, I appreciate it, John. Happy to jump aboard. A lot's going to be very, very interesting here throughout this offseason. And if nothing else, this is going to be the most interesting offseason for the Steelers in 20 years. I mean, that's what this is. And Mike McCarthy coming aboard. It's another example that the guy that nobody thought ends up getting the job. I mean, the Rooneys keep fooling you. Nobody thought it'd be Tomlin. It was Tomlin. Nobody thought it'd be McCarthy, despite people knowing you'd be interviewed. It ends up being McCarthy. So we will see what he says. We will see what the Steelers do. We will see what happens here, and we will see where it goes. I'm curious. It'll make me be covering the team even more interesting. But it's surprising, to say the very, very least. And it also does lead me to again believe that the Steelers and Rooney family would have done another year of Mike Tomlin, as they said, because clearly if they're going to be okay with an older coach who has a similar resume, they might as well have just done one more year with Mike Tomlin before getting to this. I think this makes me further believe, which is what they said and what I heard at the time, that they would have done another year of Mike Tomlin. I think Rooney would have done another year of Mike Tomlin. You had 100%. To imagine that if he's bringing in Mike McCarthy. You're not firing him for Mike McCarthy. So this does add credence to that situation. And this is Omar Khan's career is on the line here. Everyone's on the line here. But, there's never been a coach to win the Super Bowl with 2 different teams and 2 different conferences. I mean, some have got close. We'll see.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Have a good night.
All right, Mike Oste. Great follow on X. Go check him out. He covers West Virginia for the Pittsburgh Sports Now group. They have a bunch of different websites that are centric to Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia, the Steelers, the Pirates, the Penguins, the Riverhounds as well. Mike is just a solid young man and a very sharp reporter. Appreciate him coming this evening for some time. Bill Aikens, of course, in the middle of the broadcast, and Paul Zeiss at the very beginning. All part of our pregame coverage this year. If you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome. My name is John Phillips. This is Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. We are live on the air Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. If you are on YouTube, go check us out at Steel City Sunday on all the social media sites at Steel City Sunday. We would love a few more followers over there on our YouTube channel. We just got launched in the fall doing pregame shows, and we're very happy that we are part of the It's a Wrap Sports Network that puts us on the air when we do broadcasting. And I can tell you right now, we will have more shows like this as the winter and spring moves forward. I'm moving to 3 nights a week at 7 o'clock. I've got guests lined up for all 3 shows next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, assuming we have power. I don't know. We might be iced under here. Who knows if the grid will go out and chaos ensues. I'm pretty stocked up in terms of food and weaponization. And, I'm out kind of not necessarily in the middle of nowhere, but I'm not necessarily in an area where 1,000 people are going to be roaming around looking for, toilet paper and maybe, say, some Jiffy peanut butter, okay, if things really go bad. But we will be on the air Monday night, 7 o'clock. It'll be me in the chair here for an hour of sports. I'm so excited to be able to do this again. And about 150 of you hanging out right now, and I appreciate that. Our X page on our YouTube channel. We'll do this 4 nights a week after the Super Bowl is done. And again, we have more shows in the evening time. Bill Akins on Wednesdays with Pittsburgh Sports Desk and a few of his friends. Thursday nights, his Gridiron Weekly show. I can tell you right now, I have every intention of finding a way of adding Pirates pregame shows, maybe some select Penguin stuff come March or April as well. I want to increase the programming that we're doing. That requires sponsors. That takes time, and I am in the process of working on all of that. And we had a couple great sponsors that were able to get us on the air this year. I can't thank the people at North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. I can't thank Arch Masonry and Restoration. Without their support, wouldn't have been able to pay the guys that I did to come on the air with me and broadcast like we did. We put on some pretty good shows. Not what you see traditionally on YouTube, more in the style of what I grew up doing, having once worked 6 years at the Fan and working at Channel 11 with John Fedko and working on Ardmore Boulevard, doing evenings, working with Myron Cope and Bill Hillgrove. I've spent 30 plus years covering sports in this city off and on. You might see me in the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. I do cover the Riverhounds for that newspaper, covered the team last year when they won the USL Championship. I'm back doing sports again. I was away for a while. I moved down to South Carolina for 4 or 5 years, came back recently, wanted to start doing sports again. And as I've said this a few times before, Andrew Filipponi years ago told me to start my own YouTube channel. If I'd only listened to him in 2012 or 13 when he told me this, I'd probably be a lot farther along the way. But at 56, I'm out here hanging and banging with the young kids. And I love it. I absolutely love it. We're banging out shorts in the mornings. We put those on the YouTube channel. Those seem to be doing well. I'm going to build this thing out, and hopefully you like what you're seeing. And if you do, I'm asking you kindly, go to our YouTube channel. Go to our X page. If you're on X right now, almost 90 of you are right now, please take 2 minutes and go to my little header page and click on our YouTube link, and please give us a follow over there. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. I intend to build this channel up. And, we had Urinating Tree on as a guest recently. He was amazing. I actually – at some point in time, our paths crossed over at CBS Radio when I was working over there. He was working at Y108 as a producer. I had no idea who he was. He's a super nice guy. He's got like 650,000 followers on his YouTube channel. You've probably heard of Urinating Tree. He's got about 130,000 on his X page. He was on our pregame show a few weeks ago. He couldn't have been happier. And it was great to talk to him. I've discovered a whole new avenue here, and I like to learn, and I like to entertain. I like to talk sports, and I appreciate all of you hanging out with me this evening. Okay, that's it for the evening show. Special edition of Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. Again, please go to our YouTube channel, click the like and subscribe buttons. It really would help us out a tremendous amount. Let people know we're out there. Please come and hang out with us on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. We love taking your comments. I love hearing from everybody that was in the chat today. Thanks to everybody, including the guy from the Dallas fan, the big Ron Bowski. Thank you for your comments about Mike McCarthy. He's home. and we'll see what he can do as the 17th head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thanks to all of our guests, for everybody who participated in our show this evening. My name is John Phillips. This has been a special edition of Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. Mike McCarthy, the brand new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll talk to you Monday at 7 p.m. Until then, have yourself a good evening. Stay warm, stay safe, and stay out of that cold weather, folks. It's nice talking to people again. Have a good evening, everybody.